Dawson's Rambles.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Ryder here, continuing today my series of videos where I rank my top 5 Rangers of every color in honor of the Once and Always special that is airing this year. Today we are talking about Pink Rangers, and let's dive right in, but before we dive right in, that was a lie, we're not diving right in. Disclaimer at the beginning, as always, this is just my personal list, not the right list or algorithm. I'm not trying to tell you what to think. This is just for fun to get different points of view out there, and of course, as always, share yours in the comments. It's always fun to see people's different favorites and point of view. So as per usual, we do start with some honorable mentions. I want to start off by mentioning Amelia. Some people are going to think, oh, he's being a shell, like, you're not woke, but I do like Amelia. Obviously, she didn't make the top 5, so I wouldn't necessarily consider her a favorite, but I do like her character, and it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with her becoming a Red Ranger. It's more just like, I always loved the paranormal angle with her character as someone who is a paranormal enthusiast, which is neither here nor there. Well, I guess it is here, because this is why I'm talking about it, but you know what I mean. I connected with that aspect to her. I thought it was a cool take, and I liked that it kind of tied into her being inspired to investigate her parents, and it also all kind of tied into the Area 62 sci-fi paranormal vibe. I just liked that. I thought it was a unique take on a character. Another honorable mention is Vita. I mean, it's a little bit of a cliche now, I guess, but I always thought the idea of a Pink Ranger that hated being pink was fun. Like that, and usually, like, Pink would more often than not be the more, girly girl Ranger. And it's not like we haven't had some different takes on that, but I just thought it was a fun take having a Pink Ranger that just hated being pink, And I just found Vita to be a fun character, and I enjoyed her DJing with Matumbo at the end. But now getting on to the actual top 5. Coming in at number 5 is Kat from mmpr. I've always been more of a Kat fan than a Kim fan, to be honest. I've never really liked Kim. She always rubbed me the wrong way. I don't know, but I liked Kat. Because the thing about Kat was, it's funny because when she came in as a replacement, it's almost a cliche that she became Tommy's love interest. It's almost like those, cliche older movies, like action movies, where they have a new love interest girl every movie, and it just is like a slot they have to fill, and no pun intended. It could have very easily been that, like, okay, well, Pink Ranger's leaving, Tommy's with a new Pink Ranger, which it kind of was. But I liked that they made it kind of unique and set up a storyline about her being under Rita's control similar to Tommy, to give them a reason to bond that made their relationship organic when they eventually, got to that point. And this isn't all about her relationship with Tommy, but I'm saying that's an aspect I liked, and an aspect about her that was interesting, that she was under Rita's control, but she wasn't like a villain ranger. She was just kind of this, sleeper agent, which was kind of cool. And then after that, she was a very, caring person. I always just found her to have a really caring, sometimes I guess almost motherly presence to the team, but I always found her to be really likable and caring with a more interesting backstory, and I found her dynamic with Tommy to be more enjoyable than that with Kim. After that is Sid from SPD. Another one of those kind of trying to break the cliche characters in the sense that she is the more girly Ranger, but she's proving that she's not all that people think she is, which I liked, because she was kind of this character that came from more of a spoiled background, and it wasn't like Summers from RPM for Yellow Rangers, where it was like this truly spoiled character that learned to become a better person. It's more like somebody that was acknowledging that there were aspects about their personality which are still very much a part of them, but the people couldn't see past that, and she wanted to prove that she was much more than what she is seen as just this sort of spoiled girl, and that's not what she is. It's kind of like, similar to Summer, yet different, and I always just liked that take on a character. Number 3, Jen, which probably makes a lot of people's top list, which is rather cliche. I mean, it's obvious why people like Jen, she had there's an argument about whether she's leader or not, or who's leader. I saw that in my Red Ranger video. I'll just say I considered her and Wes to be sort of co-leaders, in the sense that I thought Jen felt more leadery at the beginning, because obviously she had more experience as a Time Force officer, as Wes gradually learned to become a leader, and he kind of became the main leader as we went on, but I sort of more saw it as they made up for each other's, differences or faults, where she was a little bit unstable because of, what happened with Alex, and she could be very single-minded. And, Wes helped her find balance with that and be the voice of reason and, helped the team get used to the 21st century. Was it the 20th century? It was 21st. Welcome to the 21st. That's a deep cut reference. I don't know. That's neither here nor there. The point is it was a refreshing take on a Pink Ranger to have her have leadership qualities, not to mention one of the driving forces of the storyline, which I think is one of the great things about Time Force 2, is it wasn't just one character having a significant storyline. Like, I would argue it was Jen and Wes that had the most significant ones, but you also had Eric. But it was cool to have this emotional through line through a Pink Ranger character in regards to the overall plot, you know, tying it from the beginning of the series with the death of Alex all the way to the end resolution of her and Wes. She was just one of the better Rangers, and it was really cool to see the female Ranger get such a prominent focus. Now, it's probably going to be a hot take to not have her as number one, but my personal number two pick is Chloe from Hyperforce. I adore Chloe. It's weird to say for people that haven't watched it, but the people that like are acting this out legitimately do give a performance as the character, you know, which is kind of hard to do when you play D&D sometimes if you're uncomfortable. And they actually do give a performance that, like, you're both seeing him as like, hey, this is Megan playing the role, but you also can see her as Chloe. And I like this character so much because, first of all, she was just enjoyable to watch. She was just a joy to watch on screen, and she had such personality and was so fun and quirky, you know, almost tied with Vesper in the amount that I loved, like, the humor she brought to it, you know, with the stuff like the Tama Dinkies in the 90s, or the burritos, which is probably my favorite recurring bit in that series. But I like that also she wasn't just a bit. She also was a character that had an emotional story about her parents, which tied in with a lot of the parallels between the characters, and it was just such a cool character. I just really like Chloe. She had some actual depth and story, but she was also a ton of fun to watch and brought some of the most memorable moments to the series. Coming in at number one for me, though, is Karone, the second Lost Galaxy Ranger, aka Astronema. You know, Astronema / Karone is one of my favorite PR characters, period. But I really liked the idea of getting to see her as a Ranger. I thought that was really cool. You know, it was kind of a cool idea that Cassie might take up the mantle, but I'm glad they went with Karone because I think it's far more interesting. One that they could have gone even deeper on if it wasn't a Power Ranger show and it was a deeper show. And I think they actually tried to do that in the comics a little bit, which was cool. And I'd love to see that expanded more in a comic, but that's neither here nor there. But I guess it is also here because that's what I'm talking about. But again, the idea is so cool. I mean, we've had redeemed Rangers before, anti-hero characters, but this is really the first and one of the only real times we've had like a main villain. Like, she was, I mean, yes, she did Dark Spectre, but she was the main villain becoming a Ranger down the road. Add that in with her interesting backstory of, you know, she was a character that, you know, she didn't get brainwashed like Tommy. I mean, she did later when they did the whole, you know, robo-astronema, but you know what I mean? Like, she grew up like indoctrinated to evil. It wasn't like she was under a spell and then suddenly she's cured. She has this very complicated past, very interesting character. To get to see her be a Ranger after her past as Astronema and link together the two series was really cool, and it's just cool to see one of my favorite characters become a Ranger. And I hope in the future we do a comic that would maybe focus more on her, because we did a little bit in some of it was one of the one-shots, or not one-shots, but the annuals, and then in the Psychopath comic. I know that people didn't like to take on the Psycho Rangers, but there was some interesting stuff about Karone's characterization in that, and I would love to see her get more focused on, because that's arguably one of the most interesting characters in the series for me. But that is just my list, guys. Let me know what your list of favorite Pink Rangers is in the comments, as always. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you get notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.